All right, so now we're going to take some shots with the M4. I'm sure you all know how to load an AR, but these are just the new Palmetto State Armory GI aluminum mags. So we'll put it in there. And we'll get shooting with it with this red dot. I feel like my red dot isn't on, so I'm going to flip up the sights, turn my dot off, shoot it that way. See, we got a couple left. So I'm going to get down and show you how a lot of people used these foregrips that were issued with them in the military. I've seen a lot of pictures where they'll get down with them and then either one kind of do one of these things, or two, they'll get down completely and do this. And we'll see. Hopefully I don't hit the hill there in front of me. Okay, so now that that's empty, it just drops out like normal. And then that's it for the shooting section of this, but we're gonna go look at it now. So we can drop the bolt, and then I've put it back on safety. We can go ahead and flip down the sight too. All right, let's take a look a little closer at this Colt M4 clone. We'll start, I guess, just at the front here, and you'll have to forgive us because the tripod we have isn't tall enough to get the whole thing in frame. But if we come over here to the front, just a standard, this one's a 16-inch barrel, so it's not pinned in well. It's cut for a grenade launcher, and no pin and weld, and it's an A2 style cage. It does have the bayonet lug. Pretty standard stuff till we get to here. So this is the Knights Armament M4 RAS rail, and this is what the U.S. military chose as its first ever Picatinny locking type rail to go on their M4s, and then just any AR platform. They made these, you know, for the longer ones too. But the way this works, we take off one of these here. This is just a rail cover, but as you can see, it's a quad rail, and these have been in, I mean, every single movie and video game that has an M4 in it ever. But they do have marks for the different pieces of rail, and then they have, I guess these are just kind of lightweight holes in it. But this is different than just an average rail that you would get, because it actually locks into the gun, and the way it does that is, don't know if we can show this here, but, well, yeah. So you see that little piece of metal right there? That is a swinging arm that you use whenever you put the top on. It goes up, it's like two claws that go up and under and hang on to the bottom of the barrel extension, or the nut. And then at the front, I don't think this one will be able to see, but it's the same idea, except this one goes into the front here, the cap. So this, it's not a perfect zero, but it's good enough to put, you know, lasers and lights and grips and things like that on. But you wouldn't want to stick, I don't know why you would stick, but you wouldn't want to stick an optic on there. And then they were also issued with these, these rail covers, and the way those work is you just press down on here and then push it out. And if we can see here, all that does is open, 2 claws that attach to just whatever rail it sets on. Moving down to this, what's called a broom handle foregrip. This, I do believe, was also given to all M4s whenever they received this upgrade. And the way it works, let's see if I can do it around this camera. Yeah, it just threads off, and you can come up here and remove it. But, I mean, you can understand how that works. But as far as grips go, this is my first rifle that actually has, you know, kind of a modern look to it. So I don't have any other foregrips, but I feel like you could get a lot better than this. It's very long, and I mean, you know, when you grip it, you've got an extra 1.5 inches or whatever here, and I think even if you had the biggest hands ever, you still wouldn't take up that whole thing. But it just isn't really that useful. I've got it on here right now just because that's kind of the look, but I've got another rail cover I stick on there whenever I just have the gun sitting around, because it's not, I just don't really like it. Moving up here, all this is just your standard, you know, AR-15 things. They do have the fire and safe. This is a Colt on this side, and then a little tick mark for it, but everything is pretty normal. Right there, you have the cage code for a Colt, and then moving back a little bit, I've got this with just an N1 stock. It's a B5 Systems N1 stock, but it's just your basic Car 15 polymer stock. And then on the back here, it has, it's called a John Mason butt plate. And those were used a lot during the, you know, first little bit of the global war on terror. I don't know, you know, you doubt it's for recoil, you know, it hurts you because it's just an AR and you'd be wearing a vest or a plate carrier or something, but you always see them on them. And then they always have a zip tie around them because they are prone to just falling off. But it just seemed like everyone had one, and they weren't issued, but I guess you could get them in the, you know, whatever it's called, shop that the military had. So you saw those all the time. If we flip it over to the other side here, I can get around it. Same affair over here, and on this side I just want to show off the roll markings, or well, laser engravings. So on this one, at least, I bought this in July of 2023. On this one, it does say M4. I know some of the new ones are just saying carbine. This is on Colt only, of course, but mine does say M4 carbine. It doesn't go as far to say US property, but it does say M4. And this is a Colt OEM one, so it's the one that doesn't come with a handguard or a stock or any kind of sights. So if you're looking for an M4 carbine, the OEM ones, at least I can say, as of July 2023, do have them. Then if we move back, it's got Colt Defense, Hartford, USA. And then this is something, I'm not sure if it's on the military ones, but this is different than all the other ARs I see. The font of Safe and Fire is, it's kind of a shorter and longer font. It reminds me of Colt's font they use in the 50s a lot, like you'll see on the side of 1911 slides and stuff like that. But I really like that. And then the last things I guess we can look over is the sights that I have on this. So the first one here is a Mautic. This is kind of like the unofficial correct backup sight for M4s. And it's an interesting sight because it flips down, you know, because it's just a backup. But the way you undo it, so you just push up on it and it flings out. And then this dial, if I can zoom in even further, is how you find your range. So you can see it moves it there. And then that line right there is 350, or it's either 50 or 25. One of the two. If you look at the bullet travel, they're the same thing. But so that does you for pretty much point blank to 300, and you'll hit your target, you know, if it's man-sized or whatever. But it's a really good little sight. I've heard issues of whatever spring kind of holds it in place and then pops it out. Those will break eventually, but I mean, I think I got mine for 40 bucks. So what are you gonna do? It's clone correct. And then there's a windage knob on the side, and you can see that checks out with the notch and then the gradation right there to get it. And then if we move on to this aim point I have on it, this is the only thing that wouldn't be clone correct, and simply because I didn't want to spend $1,000 or whatever it is on a comp series, which is what they would have had on it. So this is just the ACO, and there I got mine on sale for $350 I think, but normally they're like $4 or $425. But it's just, I didn't want to, you know, double the cost of the rifle just for the correct sight. So this will do me fine. The only real difference is this has a 2 MOA dot and it doesn't have night vision settings, but some of you out there may delve into night vision. I don't think I ever will, so it doesn't really bother me that much. But it's like most aim points, this is the battery hatch and then this can adjust it. And I'm not going to show you the inside because it's just a dot is the only thing it is. But that about does it for this whole thing. I will say that I was able to build this, including every single part, for basically right at $1,500. So if you part this out and you look around, especially if you don't care about it saying Colt, you know, if you just get a Palmetto or whatever, you can probably do it for around $1,000, because this whole thing, rail covers, handle and all, I got on Thoroughbred Armament for $220 or $30. The stock, the B5 one, like I got 50 some, but you can find these, like a Palmetto one, for 30 maybe on their H&R website now. The Modtech, I think new, it's like 80 or 90 bucks, but you can look around and find used ones for 40, 50, and 60. And then the aim point, 350 or 425, depending if you find a sale or not. And then it comes with the pistol grip, so you're good there. Or well, if you get a cheaper one, you're not good there, but you know, that's like $5 or whatever. I'm not even going to take it apart because it's just an AR, so we all know about that. But I will show kind of a comparison to what they were using at the time. So this was adopted kind of in the late 90s, and it replaced, not this exactly, but things like this. So this is my H&R 652 that I've put a collapsible stock on. And before the M4, there was no adopted official AR carbine that the military used. There might have been some Air Force GAU rifles and stuff like that. For more about that, look at Small Arms Solutions, does a bunch of AR related stuff. But basically what would happen is Special Forces would go out, people that were allowed to pick their own guns and stuff like that would go out and just buy, you know, export models and stuff like that directly from Colt. And the whole Picatinny system came up because these guys would, I mean, literally they would duct tape and they would zip tie and they would all kinds of just bolt on whatever they thought would be a full force multiplier. You see a lot of them cutting down pistol grips and putting up here as a foregrip, or hose clamping a mag light up there, just all kinds of crazy stuff. So they developed a rail system for it and cut off the carry handle and replace it with a rail in order to give them the freedom to do that and kind of do it in a more controlled way, so that, you know, they're not going to be breaking anything, first of all, and then they can control what's being put on and what isn't. So if you look at something like this and then you go to this, it's a very big improvement. We look at this now and think it's pretty out of date, and it is, because now you have free floats and you have shorter barrels and you have smaller red dots and all that kind of stuff. But at the time of this was just a crazy improvement over the A1 and the A2 carbines that only certain people were allowed to get in the first place. But I think that'll about do it for everything on this. But if you want to rebuild this Thoroughbred Armament for the rail system, wherever you want to find an N1 stock or a Car 15 stock, doesn't really matter. A2 grip, Modtech rear iron. I got mine, I don't even remember where, maybe eBay, and then I just got that directly from Aimpoint. And with this OEM one, you're looking at about $1,500, but with anything else, you know, you can knock off 500 or something like that. But that'll do it for now, so we'll go ahead and see you next time on the next video.